Yes. My name is Todd Maryfield. I have been a part of the grant community for the last 27 and a half years or so because of my wife, Lisa. Some of you may know her. She is a 7th grade language arts teacher at the middle school. And because of her time there, and I know you very well, I was a room daddy to both of my children from young 5 straight through 3rd grade. So I've had a real fun opportunity in my other jobs. They gave me the time to break away and be part of the school system. So it was really wonderful. I'm now self-employed, I'm a writer, but I also run a Lego company. And people kind of, wow, that's kind of strange. What do you do with Legos? Well, one of Liesel's co-workers, Stephanie Dode, has been writing a large number of grants recently for Grant Public School District. And she's been really focusing a lot on the after-school programs. And so she found out that I loved Legos, and the kids use Lego for a portion of the after-school program for their creative building time. And she contacted me to find out whether or not I had some Legos in hand for my store that I could bring into the school system. And so as we were doing this transaction, I said, you know, wouldn't it be wonderful if someone could build a program for the kids that did, you know, a certain segment, a certain number of kits, and walked them through unique building processes or unique ways that Lego and engineering can be added to different themes or structure. And I should have kept my mouth shut because she immediately said, oh, you'd be willing to do that for us. And I said, well, let me think about it. I'll go home and I'll write up kind of a program outline and we'll see. And less than a week later, she called me very excited. She said, we've just got all of our grant proposals. Our rewards have come in and we've got $31,000 for your program. And now I knew I was stuck. And so I said, well, how many students do we have? We had 10 4th graders and 20 middle schoolers. So I knew the age range that I could work with. We wanted to do 11 kits over a period of 8 months to finish out the school year. And they basically gave me the Readers Across America website, which is what the after-school program uses as their structural themes for each month. And it could be Black History Month, Women's History Month, National Literacy Week, National Public Library Week, all these kinds of things. And so when I started looking at the program, I knew that I wanted to develop as many of the kits as I could. I had my number of students and I had my budget. So every kit that I designed, I had to come up with 30 units. But when I saw that National Public Library Week was in April, I got really excited because I've always loved the shape of this building. I like, it's unique in Grant and the way that it looks. So I thought, okay, I want to make this one a special one. This one isn't just going to be a little kit that they can do something with. It's going to be bigger. And because of that, it's a little bit more expensive. So we, instead of doing 30 kits, we did 10. And I was able to maximize exactly the parts that I needed for the design. We found 10 kids. We basically, by the end of the school year, had chosen the 10 kids who really jumped into the program the most. One of them is here. I'll introduce her in a moment. But the kids went nuts. It was an opportunity where we did Lego kits unlike anything that they'd ever done before. One of our first was the Thunderbird Totem pole, which is in Vancouver, I think, up in Canada. But it was huge, and each student, they not only got to build the kit, but they got to take the Legos home. They got to keep the kit. So every kit they built, they got to take. We did the Space Shuttle Challenger and a small minifigure. Oh my gosh. Krista McAuliffe. I totally went blank on her name. For Women's History, I designed a beautiful Rosa Parks bus that I got the blueprints for from the actual court documents. So this was an opportunity for the kids to have a tangible representation of something that most of us have just read idly, a little bit of notes here and there about what actually happened. When you see the seat that Rosa was sitting in and where she was when she was asked to move, it changes the story. And for the kids, we started to find that they were not only looking forward to the builds, but that the kits had more meaning to them. We also did a Braille speller that was a real pain for me, but you press a button on this box and the Braille letters for Grant would pop up in Braille, and it was really fun. The kids enjoyed that, but we got incrementally more difficult as the year went on. This kit basically was the culmination of that, and unfortunately it was very difficult to find a number of the pieces here in the United States. Because of my business, I have kind of connections to groups all over the world, and I was actually able to resource about half the parts for this kit straight from the factory in Denmark. So know that half of this is very European, but the kids also, we're heading into our summer months. We're going to do a summer program at the end of July. And on the 21st of this month, we find out what our grant proposals are going to receive for next school year. So I've already been designing another 8 to 9 kits for next year on those same basic themes. And so we're hoping that we can build this. Basically all the work that I do could be done for 30 kids as easily as 300. So I would love nothing more to see every school district in Nuevo County take part, as well as if we can get libraries in the communities to offer space or offer time or whatever that may be. But this today we wanted to present to you because we appreciate you guys. This is one of the last remaining truly free scenarios, and it's an educational scenario that the general public probably doesn't take advantage of enough. But as I said in my videos, I also did videos of all the builds for the kids. So I gave them a brief little intro. I begged them to please go to your public library, let the people know how much we appreciate their time, appreciate what they do for writers and readers. And so hopefully you see more middle school age kids showing up. I don't know if they're going to, but I can press it as hard as I can. So this particular kit is 1,955 pieces. Like I said, about half of them are from Denmark. The rest came from all over the country. I have about 35,000 vendors that deal and trade every day in brand new Lego parts. It's not a black market, it's a white market of Lego currency. It's crazy. But if you want to learn more about the process and the kit, my website is www.happyakrz.com. That's Happyakrz. That's my nickname from middle school, Maryfield, Happyakrz. Kind of silly. But I will call Lisa up now. Lisa Doe just graduated from 8th grade, but she was one of the most adamant. She was always interested in finding out what's the next kit, when's it get here. Unfortunately, she took part in cross country, and that's not the unfortunate part, but because she did that, she didn't get to go to the after school program for a few weeks and missed out on a couple kits. But then she says, I want to get back in there, I want to do those kits. So she made her own time and got back in there. And when we heard about that, she was absolutely the person that we wanted to have build this particular kit for you. So we would like to present this. I am working on a plaque right now, just a small little thing. It doesn't matter where. We just want to make you aware that we're pushing the public library to the kids in the school, and we want to present this to you guys.
That's great, because I was also, didn't realize it was going to be in a case already, and I was also going to see if I could get something for it and get a plaque. So you're already ahead of us.
Gotcha. Well, I just built the case because it came in yesterday. You'll see it's a little tall. We got 15 by 15 wide, but it's just a large case. So depending on where you want to place it, whatever, I'm more than happy to work with you on trying to figure out how to present it best. Do you have anything you want to say? No? You're just going to be smiley and silent? Okay.
She wanted to say she was in track, not cross country.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. It was track. Not quite. There's a big difference. Yeah. So why don't you come over and we can lift this off? Not like there's a huge reveal here,
Drum roll.
but yeah. But basically, the kit, whoop, and I will include these gloves. This thing will attract fingerprints like crazy. But I can wheel this over, and I'll wheel this around so you
Why don't we get up and take a look at it?
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
We'll take a few minutes here and,
Yep.
yeah.
So, yeah, and it shifted a little bit, but that's the kit. The kids, it was funny watching them come in the day that I delivered the kits, the boxes themselves. I had one already built so that they could see some of the process. And instantly, teachers, administrators, and students were like, that's the library. They were very excited, and we made it kind of not a contest per se, but we made it a behavioral award for those 10 students who were allowed to build it. You know, those kids who had done their homework, who were kind of rising above and trying to do everything on time, as well as just a citizenship kind of scenario within the school system. And those 10 kids just had a blast. So this is actually, have you built your own as well? So this was the second one you built?
No, I only built one.
Okay, gotcha. How long did this take you?
I don't know, a little more than 4 hours.
About 4 hours. So
I was gonna say, your video was about 4 hours,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And I built it, I know what I'm doing, and I was building this thing as fast as I could, and it took me 4 hours. It actually took me close to 3.5 to take it apart. Because the parts are such that they're just a little closer and a little harder to pry apart in this particular design. But that's what we had to present.
How many parts did you say were in there?
1955. The one thing that I didn't do that I am contemplating, there's going to be 2 different kits this coming year that I have made. I don't know how to describe it. It's not really a business relationship, but of the 11 kits we did this year, 3 of them were from master builders that I know about, who I contacted that had amazing kinetic energy kits. I contacted them kind of really hoping that they would allow me to do it, and they went above and beyond and said, not only do we want you to have access to our design, but feel free to sell the kits on your site, because most Lego builders or Lego enthusiasts, they want the instructions, but they want to resource the parts themselves. It's getting harder and harder to do that because some of the parts are so unique and they're hard to find and getting quite expensive. So these designers gave me full range to use them and to share them with the students in terms of instructions. It was really up to me just to find the parts. The one step that I want to take that we haven't done in the past is add lighting to some of our kits. So this coming year in Black History Month, Garrett Morris, I believe is his name, Garrett Morris or Morrison, was an African-American gentleman in 1954 who designed the 3-light stoplight system that's used all over the world now. Most people don't have any clue about that. So I designed a stoplight, and I found a company in Australia who is willing to make LED light rigs for us that will run on a battery and allow the kids to turn the thing on and it will cycle through just like that. I want to do Amelia Earhart's plane, the Lockheed Electra 10, and I want landing lights to work on it. So in the same way, people, the first thing that they asked was, you know, is there an inside to it? Because of the parts and the difficulty of the build, I couldn't build it so that you could take the roof off and make it work. But I would love to wire it at some point and have lights so that at night you could turn it on or in a low lighting scenario. I've also thought about adding additional bricks to the kit because the library looks it looks different in the winter when there's snow on some of the eaves, and I've thought about adding that as well. But if that's the case, if those things happen, then I'll make sure that they happen to this kit as well. So. Yeah,
Liesl, is your husband kind of hard to live with?
Let's just say we have a lot of Lego parts all over the house.
Yeah, I would
Lots
say,
of bins.
I would say that this year we had close to 140,000 parts come through my living room. My son and daughter helped me count out the parts, because if you can imagine, this kit has about 260 parts that are unique. And each of those have to be bagged in a way that 30 kids all got the right thing. And so each of the 11 kits was a challenge. And fortunately, the ladies at the after-school program helped me quite a bit. And because this particular year was funded by federal dollars, all the kits that we made are going to stay in the school, and potentially, I'm sorry, the kits that did not go home with students will stay in the school for next year. So kids will not only get the new kits that I designed for this year, but they'll also have an opportunity to build last year's kits. So my hope is that we do another local library. I would love to do either Newaygo or Fremont this year and turn it into kind of a collection, so that we basically touch all these communities. And so right now we're working very closely with the Fremont Area Community Foundation, but I would like to sprawl out across the whole state. Like I said, it's just as easy for me to order 40,000 parts as it is 4,000 parts. So the more kids we can reach, the better.
Are these parts glued together, or they're
No.
just snapped?
No, for die-hard Lego fans, especially adult Lego fans, AFOLs, adult fans of Lego, gluing Legos is a huge no-no, as is painting. They showed it on the Lego movie a little, they showed him as the bad guy, the dad gluing all his parts together. Half the fun for Lego, and I don't know about this for Lisa and other kids, is taking it apart.
Sure.
And then rebuilding it again later.
Sure.
And unfortunately, that gets really tricky when you're gluing things together. I have had a couple of scenarios in my the first business that I created around Lego was for my kids to learn how to resource inventory, how to charge. And so we built large Star Wars kits that were retired. But some of those parts that had originally been produced in the early 90s were so rare and so expensive that they were like $25 to $30 a piece. So I went to the lengths in my ordering forms to ask people if they wanted them painted. And so I found acrylic paints that were used for modelers, and it was surprising how few wanted them. They wanted it in the original Lego color, even if it was different than the original model of the kit. So yeah, these are all authentic, original, brand new Lego parts in the colors. And like I said, some of them are very, very hard to find in the US right now. But because I wanted it to be pure and as close to the angle of the roof is like, it's within 1 degree of arc. So it's pretty accurate.
Do you use a CAD program or something like this out?
No, Bricklink is the resource that I use. Bricklink is a website. It's the community of Lego builders, and like I said, there's about 35,000 vendors. The Lego group originally built a piece of software called Lego Digital Designer. But when they saw the piece of software that the fans of Lego at Bricklink were building, they bought it. And now they use it themselves. It's called Studio, stud.io, because the little bumps on Legos are called studs. So it's called Stud.io. It's free. It's available on Mac and PC. So that's one of the things I'm going to be teaching this summer to the class. And if I'd had an opportunity to be in person with the kids at the school this year, instead of just doing everything on video, we would have gone through that piece of software. But it has every Lego part ever made in every color offered. And then the neat thing is, I wish this would have been available 10 years ago, when you build a kit like this digitally, and you have everything working the way you want it to work, you can upload it to your Bricklink account, and it will help you find the parts through the vendors. So it's a really nice hand-holding kind of operation that Lego, by name, is not affiliated with, but in silent ownership, they are a part of it. So they are making this kind of a program much easier for people like me to do for kids.
Very sophisticated.
Yeah. It's basically intro to engineering. And if kids are at the 4th grade level and they're able to create something with their mind, sit down at a piece of software and develop it, and then make it become a reality, they've just that's the first step to NASA. So there's.
Yeah, my stepdad's an engineer, and
Oh, yeah.
first thing I did was I took that, he told me where I could find it
Yeah,
online,
yeah.
and I showed it to him, so
Yeah.
that's really awesome.
Yeah, there's obviously a whole nother branch of Lego called Mindstorms, and that's the robotics that go through high school and collegiate groups, and they're huge competitions. I love those as well. But that takes it a level beyond what most introductory, the kids, the level of the kids can't really support that. It's also quite a bit more expensive. So at least this is a way, especially the other kits, this one was a little pricey. But most of the kits that we build are simple enough that a 10-year-old could easily sit down and build it in an hour. This was rare, but most of the kids had no problems with the techniques and the processes, so it was a lot of fun.
So if we can, then display this, if it's okay with the board in the library, you know, if we have a plaque, maybe we could get, hopefully, certainly, get Lisa's picture
Absolutely.
included in this display.
Yeah.
And maybe if there were some glossy pictures, you know, it kind of intrigues me about the kinetic
The Connected Kids.
kits that are available, maybe some
Yeah.
pictures, something that shows a little broader, not that this is a.
No, absolutely,
Great.
absolutely. It's an interesting problem for me because I'm not necessarily nonprofit, but this branch of my company is completely nonprofit.
Okay.
So what I've been trying to do is find ways that I can market what we're doing with the Grant After School program to other districts. And this may be a prime opportunity where we show not only the students who took part in the program, but other kits that we were able to achieve, so that other people, whether it's other kids who see it and say, hey, mom or dad, can I be a part of that program? Or other visitors to the library who might see it and say, I'd like to do something like that in my community. Any way that I can get outreach to surrounding communities. My mother-in-law is in Greenville, and I know the Greenville Community Foundation is huge in their education system. I would love to get in there, but I'm gonna have to get this in front of them. I'm gonna have to take a bunch of kits with me, and I'm gonna say, look, here are students like Lisa who really got some advantage out of this beyond just some fun building. So yeah, I would be thrilled to present other presentation materials that can go with it so people can see it. Even if it was like a binder that you could look through or leaf through to show the actual outcome of what the students got to do.
Could the younger students in the program do as sophisticated kits as the older students, or not so much?
Yes and no. The only kit that created problems this year, and I say that in a funny way, were you able to make the combination safe work? Yes, okay. So one of the kits by this other master builder was an actual combination lock. And his goal was to make a kit that if you forgot your combination, you still couldn't get it open simply because it was built out of Legos, meaning you just couldn't take it apart. So he built the safe as a box that had to slide into a frame that once the locking mechanism was thrown, it wouldn't come out of the frame. So he had to build the frame in such a way that all of the parts connecting were on the inside. So literally, once you got the safe in place, if you forgot the combination or you couldn't make it work quite right, the only way to open this thing was to actually hacksaw through two primary pieces. Lego is not as precise as CC, machined metal, so there's a little give. So some of the kids had trouble trying to line up their tumblers just right, but in my video I said practice, 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 practice before you put mom's engagement ring in there or anything of value. And most kids did. Most kids did a lot of practicing before they tried it, but there were a couple who did have an issue. And one kid just, I couldn't make it work at all. And I said, did you watch the video? Sure. And then the supervisor says, no, we didn't. So to answer the question, I tried to design all 11 kits so that a 10-year-old fourth grader should be able to build this no problem. It might take a little longer, but with the instructions given and the video as an added benefit, there shouldn't have been really any trouble. We did an orrery, the planetary motion orrery, that's one of the kinetic pieces. Has 47 gears in it, and it blew my mind. I was very concerned. When I saw it, I loved it, but when I got into the build, I was concerned, can a 10-year-old build this? And step by step, it was a breeze. And I watched a couple of the kids build it, and these are kids that I would have looked at them and said, wow, he looks more like 7 or 8. Knowing that he was 10, he flew through it.
Yeah.
So I think that's the goal from this point forward, is to keep it at that age group, because I know that they didn't want little, just kind of static, nothing statue kits.
Sure.
They wanted things that moved and did things and worked. And to do that, you have to go up to the next level of difficulty.
Well, why don't we take a break just a minute, take a look at our new library here, and